Okay, so we're going to be starting with our next agency, the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. And we have Director Rodriguez Lima with us today. And once she's ready, we're going to go right into our presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council President, members of the Council. My name is Catalina Rodriguez Lima, and I'm the Director of the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, known as MIMA. MIMA's mission is to promote the economic growth, community well-being, and the integration of the 50,000 foreign-born individuals living in the city of Baltimore. Our roles as an office include advising the mayor, senior staff, and city agencies on matters related to the foreign-born community. We provide technical assistance to city agencies from policy, outreach strategies, messaging, resources, and best practices. We serve as a source of information for limited English proficient individuals, or LEP. 40% of our foreign-born population cannot read, write, or speak English. We manage the city's language access program, which provides services and resources to agencies to overcome language barriers. We also conduct community engagement that focuses on ethnic civic groups, nonprofit organizations, faith-based institutions, and ethnic media, and we respond to the needs of immigrants based on changes at the federal level. Something that I want to clarify, we're not a service delivery office. Our role is to expand the capacity of service delivery agencies. Our office is comprised of 4 full-time staff and 2 part-time contractual positions. Some of our goals for fiscal year 26 include language access mandated by Title VI and our new law, our new local law, complete the onboarding of cohort 3 and begin the onboarding of cohort 4, reaching a total of 25 agencies. Continue supporting agencies through training, interpretation, services, document translation, and tailored technical assistance. This work is possible thanks to a permanent language access coordinator position included in MIMA's budget in fiscal year 25, a part-time administrative assistant, and a contractual ARPA-funded position. In addition, MIMA will continue to expand on its work as a trusted source of multilingual information and community engagement, supported by a part-time communication specialist and a full-time community engagement coordinator. We will continue to work with communities, specifically through our communication channels, such as our monthly newsletter and social media, and in-person and virtual engagements, such as the New American Leadership Institute, the Community Stakeholder Call, MIMA and the Community, the Baltimore Immigration Summit, and ongoing neighborhood-based outreach and partnerships. And finally, one component of MIMA's fiscal year 26 is continued grant funding to support immigration legal services. In response to the increasing anti-immigrant rhetoric and policy threats, we seek to expand Safe City Baltimore to increase resources to provide family preparedness education, legal representation, and emergency support to prevent family separation. Moving on to our performance measures. MIMA submitted a total of 6 performance measures across 4 city services. We want to highlight a few performance measures related to our work. Our communications reach performance target has been adjusted due to the transition from a full-time to a part-time communication specialist. The prior role was funded by a CDC grant that ended in fiscal year 25. You also will see a significant increase of language access services due to the creation of a centralized telephonic interpretation account at no cost to agencies and the launch of an e-learning module in Workday, educating employees on how to communicate with people who can't speak English. And second, the fiscal year 25 target for agencies with language access plans was set before the city's language access law. And included all agencies supported by the ARPA Language Access Project. For fiscal year 26, this denominator was updated to include all agencies identified by MIMA under the new law. Some of our activities in fiscal year 25, as I mentioned earlier, the creation of a permanent staff, in ARPA funding, MIMA has been able to prioritize language access. We've onboarded 9 agencies to the city's language access program, making a total of 18 agencies, facilitated over 28 100 interactions with people who can't speak English, provided translation of 283 vital documents in 14 languages. And finally, and very important, the mayor signed a local law on language access, institutionalizing language access compliance for city agencies providing direct services and emergency information. As part of our civic engagement role, MIMA this past year hosted 54 events and meetings and attended 114 outreach events, reached more than 55,000 users via social media, which include Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Reddit, and more than 7,000 community members and organizations through our monthly newsletter, which provides crucial information in 5 languages. In addition, we hosted the New American Leadership Institute, which is a civics academy. And finally, we hosted the Baltimore Immigration Summit this past Friday with record-breaking attendance, with close to 300 participants from government, academia, service providers, and community members. In our role as a technical assistance provider, we supported 22 agencies with guidance on program design. Some examples include language accessibility as part of the city's website redesign, the municipal ID work group, coordination with MOED on their 2025 Welcome Works hiring event. And finally, as it relates to Safe City Baltimore, in fiscal year 25, MIMA supported immigration legal services for Baltimore City residents through the Safe City Baltimore strategy. This includes funding to AMICA, formerly known as Care Coalition, a nonprofit legal service provider that has supported approximately 30 families with critical consultations and representation. In response to the current climate, MIMA is revamping Safe City Baltimore to offer a more comprehensive approach, a 3-tier approach. One is community education and family preparedness. Essentially, what happens if you get arrested, making sure that your child ends up with a trusted family member. Expanding access to legal screenings and representation for individuals that have not been detained, support families that are facing detention. In many cases, families are arrested and children end up with extended family members, so we want to provide case management support to those left behind. Thanks to a $50,000 investment from the administration earlier this year, MIMA has already activated the first year of services in partnership with the American Bar Association, Commission on Immigration. We have been able to develop family preparedness curriculums, and we've trained 10 immigration attorneys to deliver multilingual community workshops in English, Spanish, French, and Mandarin across our city. These workshops are critical because they provide information such as guardianship forms and other legal resources, including the risk to help families avoid disruption, including the risk of children entering the foster care system or the loss of housing. Some of our temporary activities as an office include MIMA manages 2 ARPA funded projects, one which is focused on overcoming systemic barriers to accessing services through the work of bilingual and bicultural case managers as part of the Baltimore New American Access Coalition, known as BNAC. To date, the program has enrolled over 800 households comprised of 2,800 city residents living across 25 zip codes. The program has served immigrants originating from 32 countries. Case managers have submitted over 2,000 applications for services and resources. And then our second ARPA investment has allowed us to invest in language access infrastructure, specifically the launch of a language access training in Workday, which has trained over 1,700 employees so far, develop know your rights in terms of your language for individuals whose English is not their first language. We've also acquired equipment for agencies to use for simultaneous interpretation, and we're currently piloting AI tools to reduce document translation costs and improve turnaround times. One final piece, as you know, MIMA last year in partnership with local organizations supported the victims, families, and survivors of the Key Bridge collapse. Families and survivors received 8 months of intensive case management support, We also were able to raise $2.3 million, $1.2 million from the Baltimore Community Foundation, which was provided a couple months ago. This will allow us to provide financial assistance to the families until June of 2028. Finally, I'd like to highlight a significant milestone. Last year, MIMA became a permanent office, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the council who voted in support of the legislation, and I extend a special thanks to Councilwoman Ramos for her leadership in introducing and championing the bill. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director. Quick note, colleagues, we value what you have to say. I need you to keep your comments brief and your questions comprehensive and concise. We're starting with the council president.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Rodriguez. I want to make two comments quickly, and then my question. Number one is that Baltimore is going to continue to follow all federal laws, period. Number two is that as long as Brandon Scott is mayor and I am president, we are not going to turn our backs on our immigrant community, also period. And this council will double and triple down on supporting you and your great work because we believe in it. It is part of our value as a city. And I know from previously working in Councilmember Parker's district that contrary to some of the rhetoric coming from DC, our immigrant community is actually an enormous blessing to the city of Baltimore when it comes to our vibrancy, our cultural diversity, our population growth, our entrepreneurial and business growth, our schools, all of it. It is a blessing to Baltimore, and we stand with you in support of your work. So I just want to make that crystal clear from the jump. My question is, can you quantify, there's conversation about population growth and economic development within our, particularly Latino, but all of our immigrant communities. Do you have some data to quantify from a financial perspective how much our immigrant community contributes to the economic growth of our city?
Thank you, first of all, for all your support and your comments. These are challenging times, and knowing that our office and our staff and our communities are not alone is really gratifying. In terms of your question, we have data. I don't have data specific at hand right now with me. I do have data in terms of population growth. Our immigrant population consistently grows an average of 3,000 individuals every single year. The largest growth has come from our Hispanic immigrant population. As you may know, between 2010 and 2020, the Hispanic population in particular grew over 80%. In addition, I can send this over email. We know that the neighborhoods that have grown are tied to populations with immigrant communities or Latino populations. So the top 5 neighborhoods that have grown in our city are tied to neighborhoods with large immigrant communities or Latino communities. And I don't know if Joy wants to add anything else. I know that you've been doing some research on them.
Yeah, we can share a little bit more information, but there's an organization called the American Immigration Council that has done some research on just the spending power of immigrants and what they contribute in taxes as well that we can send over. We also know that immigrants tend to be entrepreneurs more than folks who are born in the United States. So we know that they're also starting businesses and making roots here in the city.
Appreciate that. As a data request, if you could send, I don't want to have you doing extra work, but just if you could send that economic development data and entrepreneurship data to this committee, just I'd like to see it maybe within the next 3 or 4 weeks. And again, don't do anything you don't already have at hand, but just if you could compile it. And out of respect for my chair wanting to be timely, I'm going to yield the rest of my time. But again, thank you for your work.
I mean, you did say double period. Councilman Gray.
Thank you. First, I just want to say I appreciate the work that you guys are doing each and every day under extenuating circumstances and what's going on federally. And in our office, we're receiving reports even today about our constituents that are being detained. So I just want to let you know quickly that we are here for you, and the council's going to do everything we can to make sure that you guys have the resources that you need to keep up the fight. My question is basically, given that over 80% of detained immigrants in Baltimore lack the legal representation, and those with lawyers are 4 times more likely to succeed in their cases, how does the MIMA's FY2026 budget address the need for expanded legal services? And are there plans to increase funding for legal aid to ensure due process for our immigrant residents?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So MIMA's budget does include funding for MICA to provide legal services and consultations for individuals who have been detained. And as I mentioned in my presentation, we are actively fundraising to increase services, immigration legal services for individuals who have not been detained. As you mentioned, immigration legal services are critical. In my opinion, they are the ultimate line of defense, given national events. But we want to make sure that we are providing services for those who have not been arrested, but also for those who have been arrested as well.
Thank you for that answer. And then briefly, also, like I said, we just received a report today about someone being, one of our constituents being detained. So I'm wondering, in light of Senator Van Hollen taking the leadership on this and visiting Kilmar, I'm wondering how's your office handling these complaints and what your office partnership looks like with our federal partners as far as like our senators and Congress folks.
Yeah. Following the election, we established a community group that meets on a monthly basis. The role of that group is for us to serve as a source of information, to coordinate among each other, to advocate and to provide rapid response. We're in close communication, and through that group, we get a good grasp as to what's happening on the ground. When someone is arrested, we quickly connect them to Amica and their phone number to access resources. Resources are limited, and so that's another reason why we want to make sure that we are providing additional resources, and also that they can have a legal consultation so that they don't end up arrested, right? Some of these things can be stopped by having access to immigration legal services prior to being arrested. So an attorney that can come in, do a legal screening, identify potential relief that you may have based on your immigration journey, and file petitions with USCIS.
Thank you for that answer, and thank you for your advocacy.
Councilwoman Ramos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, Director, thanks for your amazing work and your team's work. Your work is more critical now than ever. And so I know that you had expressed to my colleague about the 2 types of legal services. So what is the amount that you need for the second piece of legal services if somebody is not detained, or maybe they got arrested, but then they were let go until they have to check in again? That's a group of people that I know is really stuck at the moment. So can you talk about what are the needs that you have for that particular set, and then also knowing that the BNAC program has been extremely important in supporting our immigrant community. You said that that was ARPA funded, and I believe we have an amount for that as well. Do you want to talk about those two?
In terms of the second tier, the preventative legal support, so something that we want to establish through this expanded Safe City Baltimore is a citywide hotline in partnership with the American Bar Association Commission on Immigration to screen residents to determine if they have any immigration relief. Those who do have an immigration relief will be forwarded to a network of legal service providers to be represented. I don't have the exact amount for that particular tier since the strategy is holistic, but I'm happy to provide the number following this hearing. I think what's important through this process, that through the exercise of revamping Safe City Baltimore, is really reshaping the ecosystem of immigration legal services to make sure that we have one hub identifying people who are likely to have an immigration relief to be referred to a network, so that the attorneys are only focused on representation, and those who don't qualify for an immigration relief to be referred to family preparedness workshops in case they are deported.
I want to make sure that the public understands what you just said. People are planning on family separation.
Yes, sadly, tier one, the goal of tier one is for parents to leave guardianship forms. So, I can't look at you, sorry.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking what our community is going through. And so I'm asking the mayor's office right now, you have to commit to us today. And I want to thank my colleagues who are supporting us 110% on this ask. The ask for the legal services is $1.1 million, and Catalina has already raised some of it. The other ask is for $950,000 for our immigrant community for support. We need that commitment today. And the fact that it wasn't given initially in this budget is shameful. The mayor has been very clear about our position about how we're protecting our residents. And it is extremely important that we continue to send a very strong message. You can tell those of us who are, I mean, they can come for she and I at any time, okay? And we have to, well, I mean, they will. So all of us are planning for family separation. Can you imagine that? That's crazy. And so we have to send a strong message to the federal government that that is not acceptable, but that we also have to make sure that our residents are protected. So we need that assurance from the mayor's office that this is going to happen.
This is Calvin Young, Chief of Staff for the mayor. First, I want to just acknowledge the heartbreak of this moment for so many families and for our entire community. I think the mayor and the entire office agrees that this is a very challenging moment. And as we've had discussions with the entire council, I think every member of the council, we've discussed increases to the MIMA budget. So as we have those conversations with you, we're really looking forward to working together and being able to meet these needs for our community.
So are you committing to knowing that we are going to get additional funding? We just are working on an amount?
That's right.
And so we're hoping for the full amount.
We are working, so as you know, with the budget, when we increase in certain areas, we also have to figure out where we'll make cuts. So that's what the team is working on right now. I can commit to you right now that we are absolutely, this is one of the top priorities right now for the mayor's office to increase in this budget.
Thank you. We'll continue to keep working through this because this is, again, as you said, and as the council has, and the council president has expressed as well, this is a high priority.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief of Staff. And if I may just be able to answer the question, that is correct. Tier one is dedicated to community education and know your rights. And it is to plan for the unthinkable, which is you as a parent being deported and making sure that your children have the proper forms so that they end up with a trusted family member and avoid any entering the foster care system. Apologies, these are heartbreaking topics, but for me in particular, after I became a mom, even harder.
Don't apologize. Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Catalina and your team for everything that you continue to do. We go way back to the DREAM Act, so I know the work that you do. My question gears towards healthcare and education. And we know what's going on is also disruption with families, and we're going to be talking to the school system later this evening. And I guess my question is twofold. Are you connected with the education department? Are they helping in programs and trying to keep that education is so important? Are they doing things, working with you to try to keep things moving in the proper direction?
Thank you for that question. The school system is one of our favorite agencies. They work closely with us. As you may know, they have a newcomer center that helps new American families enroll their children in school. This work came about a work group from a couple years ago where we recommended a couple of items on how to make the school system more inclusive. In addition to that, following the election, we have a monthly meeting with them to talk about services and resources that may be available for our families, but also for us to have the pulse from the school system in terms of what's happening on the ground. And those meetings have been really helpful for us since we are not a service delivery division. We're now out in the streets every single day. And so those are the tentacles that help us modify or prepare or develop new resources or information.
And then as far as healthcare, how are families being serviced for healthcare? Has things changed?
As part of our role as a technical assistance provider, we work closely with the health department, particularly around language access and providing access to telephonic interpretation, translation of documents, training of employees. And then I don't know if Joy, do you want to add anything else in regards to that?
Yeah, so we were actually able to work with the health department last year to get them onboarded with language access and to write a language access plan, and through that process, help them to translate a lot of their vital documents, including, consent forms, release forms, and ensuring that they have access to our telephonic interpretation account, which ensures that there are medical interpreters available, especially as limited English proficient folks are accessing clinical services through the health department. So we know that it's a resource that's being accessed by our folks, especially in preparation for going to school, making sure that they're able to access vaccinations and other screenings to be prepared for enrollment.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilman Parker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Catalina, and all our friends at MIMA for all of your good work here. I know we've covered a lot of grounds here. Really just final question around language access. In your presentation, you mentioned, I know the slide said 16, but I thought you'd mentioned 18 agencies have been onboarded to the language access program. What's the hope for how many this year, and when are we getting to all of them?
Yeah. Joy, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, absolutely. So to clarify, we are working with a total of 18 agencies. So we worked with 9 in 2024 and are currently in the process of supporting 9 additional agencies, or 8, and then including City Council. And we're working with these agencies to, again, translate vital documents, write language access plans, and to train their staff, and also to just think about the different programs and services they're delivering to ensure that they're making them inclusive as possible. And then as we wrap up this cohort in the late fall and early winter, we're hoping to onboard another 7 agencies next year. And so that'll bring our total up to 25.
What does that work look like in particular with our offices, with the City Council? What should we be anticipating, or how can we better partner with you all in getting our staff and our operations up to speed?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a wealth of resources that we'll make available to you all. We're primarily coordinating with the Council President's Office just to ensure that there is a centralized place for that information. It can be hard to coordinate across so many different offices. But we have resources that have been customized for each of you, including a specific language line code for each district so that you all can see which languages you're getting calls from your constituents, things along those lines that we can make available to you and that we have set up. So things like that. But you all are always welcome to reach out to MIMA directly if there are specific translation or other language access services that you need.
We've spoken about language access from the agency side, from the community side. Folks who may not know that this good work is happening and may not be aware of or have experienced in the past before this work was happening, an inability to connect with or effectively communicate with agencies. What does it look like from your end, but also from our end, to effectively communicate to neighbors about what they can expect and to encourage them to ask for certain accommodations or access when they approach our agencies?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So this summer, what we're hoping to launch is a more intentional outreach campaign related to language access. And so that includes flyers that we've developed related to Know Your Rights as it relates to language access, and helping folks understand what their rights are as they engage with city agencies, but also recognize that many of these laws cover other state agencies and private entities in the city as well. One key resource that we've developed are these I Speak cards. And so they're these little cards you can carry in your wallet that say, I speak Spanish. So one side is in English and the other side is in Spanish so that folks know what they say, but they can, show that to someone at a front desk when they enter a city agency so that they can quickly access whatever language services that they need. We also coordinate with a lot of immigrant serving organizations in the city, like the Latino Providers Network. We go and do presentations so that they can spread the word and have also provided them with these resources.
Thank you very much.
And one final thing, if I may add, we also have a language access oversight committee, which is comprised of community members from the different languages, the city's 5 core languages. So they are our eyes and our tentacles disseminating information in the community. And that group meets on a monthly basis and often review and approve anything that we want to put out.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Porter.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Director, I want to transition back to just to follow up on the line of questioning from VP Middleton. When we're talking about immigrant mothers, one of the low-hanging barriers is through labor and delivery. We have seen more and more where mothers are detained through labor and delivery. Have you all thought about or connected with any of the area hospitals into their labor and delivery units, just to have a connection, but also to share your technical assistance resources for mothers in that respect?
We have not, Councilwoman. However, through the work of the Baltimore New American Access Coalition, which is this bilingual, bicultural case management support, we've encountered multiple mothers, multiple family members to help them access resources for them to inform themselves about eligibility, which when it comes to immigrant eligibility can be tricky because the mom may not qualify, but the U.S. citizen children can't. And so that's the work that Kirsten is leading.
And that's a great touch point. One of the ways that I'm just expanding upon that partnership is, one, even though the child may be a citizen, the mother and or the partner may not. And so that may be an opportunity to get your message out there even more. And with the maternal health agenda that I launched earlier this year, that was one of the areas that unfortunately I did not put in, but I was educated working with Latino providers and saying, Felicia, make sure we have some sort of connection there. So you have firm commitment from my office to make those partnership connections with the area hospitals, because that is a low-hanging fruit that we can get the information out there, but also we have seen that law enforcement are targeting labor and delivery units throughout the nation as well. And so I want Baltimore to make sure that we have some sort of plan of action to that respect. Thank you.
Thank you to all my colleagues for your intentional and thoughtful questions. We are going to have our council president close us out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to all my colleagues. Want to acknowledge the very challenging moment that we're in and the deep need for this work, and to end where I started, which is to say that our immigrant community is a blessing to Baltimore, and that I thank God every night when I go to bed that my daughter goes to school with kids that speak a different language. It is good for her. It is good for those kids. We know that our diversity in this city is a strength, and that if you look at where we've seen economic growth, a lot of it is in part because of our immigrant community. And so this lie that has been told that immigrants are destructive to cities like Baltimore is just that. It is a lie, and it is important in this chamber that we acknowledge the incredible contributions that that community has made, and that we acknowledge that we, again, are going to continue to follow federal laws and do what we need to do. But it is, to close out and be crystal clear, Baltimore is a welcoming city and is part of what makes us a great city. Thank you, Director Rodriguez, for your work, and we look forward to continuing to support you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We're going to take a brief recess, and then we will be back with our next agency.